Welcome to Grind Time. It's Grind Session Mike Dog here. Unfortunately, the commish can't be with me for this episode, but we are back again with another series, and today we're going to talk about Offensive Player of the Year for this year, Mr. Lucas Patterson, and we'll discuss Minnesota prep season. Also, I'm going to try to get Coach Lucas Patterson on the phone here in a little bit. After that, we'll talk about the Defensive Player of the Year, Jabari Walker, and his recent commitment. And then we'll talk about a little bit about AZ Compass and their team last year, and then what they will be coming back with next year. So first up, let's get started with Mr. Lucas Patterson, our Offensive Player of the Year. For a while this season, we were thinking, Lucas was going to be in the running for MVP. He had a very consistent year. Minnesota Prep probably played the most grind session games out of anyone. I want to say they played 18 grind session games this year. And it's quite a bit. They also had a tough non-grind session schedule where they had to play teams like La Lume, and they played them to 4 points. Lucas, this year, Lucas averaged 17.7 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game, and 1.1 steal per game. And that's over a course of 18 games just on the grind session, not the non-grind session games. He's a senior this year. Lucas' college recruitment process has picked up a whole lot over the past, last summer and this year, and then last season on the grind session. Picked up some big-time offers, one of those offers being Vandy. Lucas, if you're listening, I definitely want you to go to Vandy. I know there's a lot of other people that definitely want you to go there. You pick, what's best for you, but that would be close to home, Us grind session people can come and visit and come to a lot of games, not saying that we won't, regardless of where you go, but you put on a outstanding performance this year, Lucas. Like I said, you were in the running for MVP. We all, flirted with choosing you for that. But it was a tough matchups for you with having to go up against Jalen, Dacian, and Posh. It's a lot of point guard action right there. 4 point guards who were very good to the grind session and put on stellar performances regardless of who they were playing against. Minnesota played against some tough competition, and Lucas always stepped up. There was a time this season where Coach Patterson had unfortunately got removed from a game from some refs that he shouldn't have been removed from that game, but unfortunately some Region 1 refs did some stuff that was very disappointing and kicked him out of the game. So, that when your head coach is kicked out of a game and your assistant coach isn't very vocal with Donnell, he's more of one of those behind-the-scenes kind of guys, it's kind of hard for you to have that kind of push, to win a game. And they were playing a pretty good Surge team, and Surge had battled back and, got back into the game. And Lucas kind of put the team on his back that game whenever Lucas got sent to the locker room and couldn't come back out. And Lucas finished the game with 19 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals versus a good Surge team, And not only did he perform on the court, but, he was a leader. He stepped up. And Lucas had instilled in him that leadership to where if this had ever happened, you're going to have to step up and lead this team to victory. And that's exactly what Lucas did. Lucas also, he didn't have to do that by himself, though. Amon had 16 points, 16 rebounds that game. And there were a lot of games this year where Amon had actually flirted with 20 rebound games. And then he eventually got a 20 rebound game. And I remember the interview with him. I bumped him a little bit and looked down at the ground and gave him one of those and was like, hey, you still little, And I have a relationship with Minnesota to where, we've developed a relationship off the court and behind closed doors to where I can, clown with them and communicate with them and, in a younger way. I don't have to come about them as far as adults do. We can relate on that level because I'm not that old myself. PJ also finished that game with 20 points. With Lucas with your coach being gone, that's a tough thing to do, to come through like that and show up. And I know Lucas was in the locker room, and afterwards I was talking to him about the game, and he was like, I didn't, I ain't gonna say I didn't think my guys would perform like that, but they definitely stepped up in ways that, no coach is gonna expect them to do. But they showed up that game, and I'm gonna try to get Coach Luke right here on the phone real quick. Minnesota Prep is a team that's very loyal to the grind session. They show us a lot of love. We show them a lot of love. We're actually going to be having an event there next year.
Hello?
Coach Patterson.
What up, what up?
You know who you speaking with.
It's my young boy. What's up?
What's up, Coach Pat, man? This is grind sesh, Mike Dog. We got the podcast going here a little bit, and I've been talking a little bit about Lucas, and Offensive Player of the Year. Also, I'll mention this, Lucas Patterson, a lot of people don't know this, but as I announced at the banquet, Lucas was runner-up for Coach of the Year, and that's why he was picked to coach the other All-Star team. Pete was picked to coach one, and Lucas was picked to coach the other. He was runner-up for Coach of the Year, and, not having a bunch of 5 stars and 4 stars, that's not easy to do, and the one reason why we, there's many reasons, but one of the reasons why we picked you for in the running for Coach of the Year is because you were able to do what you did, and with the team that you had, you didn't have a bunch of 5 stars or a bunch of well-known guys. You had what you had, and you put it together, and you had a great season. You played some top teams to the very last minute of the game, and then you had 18 grind session games where you grinded every single one of those games. You didn't get blown out. You had a tough schedule. You played some very tough teams. Tell me a little bit about this season. What's your overlook on this season and how well it went for y'all?
Yeah, I thought in the beginning we struggled, which I knew was going to happen, just because I had so many new faces in the building. But then I think eventually when they started gelling, just the early tough schedule made them, not really fear to play. So when we got on the court, it was just started to be old hat to them, and they were playing. Lakai definitely played like a vet. JaJuan gave us big minutes. Rudy, we won Tayer. He came off. He started most of the year and, cut the head off the snake and did his job. So we, for the most part, my guys were doing their jobs, and that's why we were able to win ball games. Yeah.
We were talking a little bit about, how I said Lucas was Player of the Year this year, or Offensive Player of the Year this year, and how he was in the running for MVP. He's not one of those 5-star kids, but he was head to head with 2 other 5 stars, with Dacian and Jalen, in a running for MVP. That's something that needs to be talked about. Like, a lot of people are underrated on Lucas. A lot of people don't know who Lucas is, but it's going to come about that I think that his freshman year of college, I think he's going to make a severe impact on wherever he chooses to go. And as soon as he goes in, I feel like he's going to make an impact to where people are going to know who Lucas Patterson is. He had 11 games y'all played 18 grind session games this year. 11 of those games, he was voted the MVP.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's like, we go back and think about it, and I'm like, I got a lot of interviews with Lucas, and I'm thinking, and I'm like, I asked Jesse, and I'm like, we got to put a number on how many MVPs he had. I know PJ had 2, and Mon had a couple, and JaJuan had 1, and Lucas just he set the standard. Nobody else even had double-digit MVP games this year, and he had 11. There were teams that didn't even have 11 grind session games. Tell me what it's like, to coach your son and to have him perform like that for you. And I know you have expectations of him, as a father and also as a coach. Those are different expectations, you have of him. Tell me a little bit about the balance and how it was coaching him.
Yeah, so I don't think he got his fair shake in Minnesota, and us, basically, jumping off the cliff without a life preserver or something,
Agreed.
carry us down. Yeah, we kind of went, I guess rogue, if you want to say it, and he was I just give him a lot of credit because he took on that whole burden, and he never complained. He was a little frustrated of why people would treat him in a certain manner, certain powers that be that held him in a high regard, and then never came back and gave him his props. But I think for me and him, just the growth, me growing as a coach, him growing as a player, he taught me a lot. Just to persevere through certain things, and just how strong he is, just mentally and physically and emotionally, and be able to keep it all together and never fold. And I just I from that because he is definitely that tough, and he can do that anywhere. So and that's kind of how I envision the whole thing, like that he would be, saying that he would take on any challenge, and he built that way. So and it wasn't just I didn't build him like that. It was the environment that built him like that. So
Wow.
I helped, but I didn't.
Yeah, I definitely say you definitely had a lot to do with that. Not just being his coach, but also being his father. You have to take a certain role about things. You can't just coach him a certain way like you're his father. You got to take about certain ways you got to go about certain things. Especially that type of situation. And you had some other players that you definitely had to take care of as well. Amon being one of those players. He's one of those players that stepped up for you this year in some ways. He had a streak where he didn't do too well. When we came down to Minnesota, he played great. And then I remember talking to you a couple weeks after that, and he went through like a little slump, and you were like, Amon's not himself right now. And I was like, yeah, I think he'll be back to it here soon. And then, Kentucky Lake Showcase came around, and this man puts up 34 and 20 rebounds. And I'm like, like this is the Mon Decker I've been trying to see all year. I see you in layup lines, and I'm always talking to the guys. I'm coming through. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to see something in this game. I ain't just trying to be here to be here. I'm trying to get some excitement going. It's a late night game. I want to see some excitement right here. I need y'all to do something. And Amon comes out and puts up 34 points, 20 rebounds, and 16 for 21 from the field. It's not just, I'm gonna put up 34 points on non-efficient game. He was very efficient from the field. And
he's very capable. Very capable of doing what he does well. The things that we need to work on with him is finishing around the basket, being able to just, on a higher clip. But the way he tracks down the ball, his knack to go get it, his hands, he has real talent. I mean, he's kind of what I've called, he's like an undersized, he's like a Gary Trent or somebody, just an undersized power forward that, we're working on making him stretch. So trying to get him to play some more wing, and just have a little bit more ball skills. That's we're working on that coming up this year. So, but yeah, I threw him in the fire early, man. He hadn't had the experience that Adrian Sprinkles and Lakai had previous to coming into the grind session, and I don't think nothing really prepares you for the grind session, except for maybe being able to play on a couple of circuits. But you know what I'm saying. So he just came in there raw, and just how he developed and started to come into his own was impressive for us. So.
Well, we're gonna get I'm gonna get a little off the court subject going right here a little bit. We were not necessarily an off the court subject, but some talk about that didn't happen. Between the lines. We were a few weeks ago when we were at the commissioner's house. We were talking, me, you, a bunch of other coaches, AZ Compass, Coach Pete. We just got off the phone with him earlier. Coach Locke, I'll get him on here in a few. And you said something, about a player who wants to play and a player who doesn't want to play, and it stuck with me from then. But I want you to elaborate. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about in the conversation we had
about
when we were talking with Coach Pete and Coach Locke, and how they were talking about what a player brings to the table. A player has to bring the effort and
paying the fee,
yes sir, paying the fee, yes sir, paying the fee.
So how we evaluated, I started this about 8-9 years ago with the little guys, and I would have life coaching sessions with them where I would sit them down and kind of talk to them a little bit about life situations, like how you approach certain behaviors and disciplines and obstacles in your way. And, we came up with this thing called paying the fee. And paying the fee is focus with direction from your trainer, coach, teacher, parent. And then effort is obviously your best for the first E, and then energy, positive energy versus negative energy, or low versus high. So, and we always told the kids that, for us to coach you, you're gonna have to pay your fee, and that will be paying your fee, focus, energy, and effort. And because off of those premises, it's so true that, if you don't bring that, it's hard to absorb the coaching or any kind of learning style that we're trying to teach, if you're not locked in and paid your fee. So,
Well,
so that, yeah, hello?
Yeah. I'd say, considering, like what you had this season and the success that y'all had, I'd say, pretty much your players pretty much paid their fee this year. What would you say?
No, yes, they did. And I think some of them, I believe some of them overachieved, they kind of surprised me. Quadre, he had a spell there where he was going on a tangent, and
big guard. He was showing some big guard stuff, some handle moves, and
yeah. He was doing things where he was impressing me, and it was just, you could tell that it hadn't been, that he hasn't been able to, have a platform or even a situation that would put him in a position to show his ability, like we were giving him. And I just think, man, just a little bit of tender love and care, some understanding, and some development, man. It does a lot, and then you get to be on one of the best platform, in the country, and play against the best talent all across the country. And you can't do nothing but get better. So, and that's just how I feel about the grind session.
Oh yeah.
That's those.
It's all love reciprocated this way, especially with Minnesota Prep. Y'all are very loyal to us, so we got to reciprocate the energy. Another thing I want to talk about this year, one of the players for your team that was pretty much underrated, and kind of stepped up a little bit, that I feel like I didn't feel like was going to perform as well as he did this year, was JaJuan. JaJuan had some spurts where he was showing where he could score, and no one could guard him. JaJuan would have spurts where he could show where he could dish the ball off, or he could come up and D up the best player on the court. JaJuan had that kind of attitude to where sometimes he was ready to go and he was fired up, and you was gonna see a whole different JaJuan that game. And I seen a couple pre-games of JaJuan this year, and I'd be like, "What's up? Go up." And I would be joking with him, I'd be like, "Go up, go do a dunk or something," not knowing that he could actually do that. And then he'll go up and do something, and I'll be like,
yeah.
And he'll look at me, and I'll be like, "Nah, that ain't you." I was like, "I was fake."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he got, JaJuan, man, he's really crafty, very, very sneaky athletic. But he's very smart too. And I think with him, sometimes he wants to rely on his offense a little too much, and just let the game come to him in some of them games. But some of them games where he's locked in, he probably is the best player on the floor. And the plays that he makes, he's just a rundown block. I think he ran down big fella from Dream City from the backside, blocked his shot. You know what I'm saying? Just plays that he makes. You know what I'm saying? He can make plays at a high clip. And that's big going forward for him. So, and big to even be able to showcase it against the talent that he was playing against. On a high level.
Yes, sir. It's not like he's going up against 5'5" little ticky-tack guards. He's going up against the best of the best every single night. So he ain't got no choice but to ball out or give his all that night.
Yeah.
Well, before I get you off here and get with another coach, let's talk a little bit about how's it been being on the grind session the past couple years.
Oh man, it's unexplainable, man. It's everything that I wanted and more. And we come from a different situation up here in Minnesota, so it's for me, it was just a breath of fresh air, and I commend the league the coaches, the the commission, you guys that all make this thing work. I mean, it's crazy how you guys are holding the whole nation intact. You know what I'm saying? And be able to sustain the level that the grind session is on, and it's just like it's like no other platform is when you do something for the first time. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get a lot of feedback, a lot of kickback, and I'm saying for the first time because there's never been a national league. I mean, you got Dicos, but it's not a league. You know what I'm saying? It's a tournament, it's an event, but it's not something that you can showcase every weekend. It's not something where you can come and bring and battle against the best across the country every weekend, and you know what I'm saying? And that just to say that's unbelievable in itself. And the levels for the grind session are unlimited. So.
You know, to have the connections that we have, and to be able to be connected with, you know, people like yourself and Coach Pete and Coach Locke and, you know, all these other coaches that have this status, you know, to be able to be connected with people like that, you know, we really appreciate it because y'all help us, you know, put this on a bigger platform as much as y'all don't know it. But, you know, as far as getting us out there and socializing and advertising, you know, y'all are one of the teams that actually helps us doing that. You know, y'all put our logo on uniforms, and, you know, y'all put our logo on a big old backpack, one that I was blessed to be able to receive from you and Donnell. Shout out to y'all. You know, y'all always show us love, and we have to do the same with y'all. You know, MPLS is big grind session family.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We're it's all reciprocal over here. So, and you know how me and Donnell and the whole Minnesota prep feels. And we're just happy to be and blessed to be here. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, one thing I do want to ask you before you get off here: are we gonna be seeing a commitment soon?
From Lakai, yeah. So, we're leaning towards Vanderbilt right now. And it's just the Corona thing kind of pushed us back on our visit, and you know some other little tangible things that kind of holding us back to make our full commitment. So, but yeah, more than likely we'll be committing to Vanderbilt probably in the next couple of weeks. So, you know, I think it's a good look for them.
Yes, sir. And me and Skylar and some of the other guys were talking about that earlier, and we were saying that would be like, you know, a really good fit for him. And one thing that I like about it is that it's an hour and 45 minutes from my house. So, you know, if that is the case, and that happens to be a case, you need anybody to keep an eye on him, I got you, Luke. I'm an hour 45 away. I'll be at pretty much every single home game. So, you know, I'm there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We appreciate you, Mikey, for sure. We know that. It's all family and love.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Luke. I'm going to let you get back to your business. And I hope everything is good. Hope the family's good through all this, man.
Yeah. No, we good, man. We solid.
Y'all take care of everything, man.
All right. Blessings to y'all.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.